Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing,
Derek, please.
you understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus
You
talking.
hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a life-
Per the state versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis
And DJ Neko.
here with you on the Meltdown Radio podcast, continuing our journey with my top 50 movies of the 21st century. And we are now down to 30 through 21. We've already done the first 2 episodes. Now we've got the third installment we're doing now. So far, it's been interesting, obviously. At least Neko thinks it's interesting. Some things are too low, but she doesn't know what's to come yet.
So give us a quick recap of what you've done so far.
Well, so far, I don't have my notes up for what I've already put out there, but, you know, we've had stuff like Godzilla, King of the Monsters in there, Napoleon Dynamite, some martial arts films like True Legend and stuff like that in there. But this was all based because of an article that I read where they did their own best movies of the 21st century, what at the time I felt like were deemed more important films rather than the greatest. Like, to me, greatest is something you can watch over and over again, or
Good story,
Yeah.
good acting.
entertainment wise, it's not really pushing any kind of agenda or because obviously diversity is great, so is inclusion and stuff, but
You think that they made their
I think that's what they were predisposed with that particular idea going into, like,
so they wanted to include as much.
So they weren't
going for like storyline or
right.
maybe
They were
the
going
actors.
basically. They were trying to already set the parameters with a certain agenda that they wanted to when they included their list. They even admitted that. So, that's their list. That's fine. But when I think of greatness, I think of stuff that I can watch over and over again. It doesn't have any particular agenda with any kind of whatever culture we got going on right now with the movie industry and whatnot. So it's just my favorite film since 2000, basically, the 21st century. So we are now at number 30. And this one actually is a recent inclusion. I just saw this maybe 6 months to a year ago. No, not even a year. It's maybe about 6 months. And really, it was Samurai had done a little thing on this, so I checked it out. Really fell in love with it, and it's The Witch, Part 1, Subversion. It's a Korean film directed by Park Hoon-jung. Cast is Kim Da-mi, Min Soo-jo, and Choi Woo-silk. And I actually did do a review on this film a while back.
I think you are being more inclusive of foreign films, I think, than the the list was. So I
Yeah.
you do still have diversity, but you're also putting, a lot of foreign films into. It's not just like the Americanized version, and we are, big fans of foreign films. We're kung fu. What was that Bollywood movie that you watched recently, and you were like, it was not bad at
Triple
all.
R. Yeah. I mean, it caught me surprised because, like I said, I'm watching it, and about halfway through, I'm thinking, man, this has got to be almost over. And I looked at it, and it was only halfway. It's like a 3-hour film, but it was very entertaining. Like they were able to keep up the pace with what they were doing. And so, I did some different things. I had to sing it in there, which
that's very Bollywood.
Yeah, I've noticed that's a thing with them, especially at the end of the film. They do the same thing. That's how they end their films, kind of like dancing with each other and singing. But it was cool. Like I really enjoyed it. It's a great action film, and it was a lot of fun.
I think a lot of these films that you're including, like The Witch, maybe some of our less mainstream films, we're giving a little bit of a nod to. We're kind of like showcasing them as well. Of course, there's mainstream things in these movies, in this list. There's lots of great things of American films too, but we want to show that, if you like something, it can be a great film if it's a foreign film.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not everything's going to be like a gay film or transgender or anything like that,
and not everything's going to be a blockbuster. Just because, some movies can just be entertaining.
Yeah, not a lot of people would know about this film, really. Obviously, guys like us and, people we hang with and do videos with would know it, but
I remember from your review, you seem to really like this movie. And
yeah, the plot is a high school student with amnesia tries to uncover what happened to her, all leading her into a deeper troubles, ultimately revealing a darkness she could not have imagined. And basically our lead, she's a young schoolgirl, comes to find out there's some people trying to kill her. Kind of has like the Long Kiss Goodnight type of vibe with Geena Davis.
I love that movie.
So it's sort of like Unravel's sort of like that. But this is far more gory in a sense. A lot of great action. There's actually an excellent twist with the film towards the end that caught me off guard. Like I was kind of thinking, oh, is this going to be your usual run-of-the-mill thing? And then like it just boom, it hit me. I'm like, whoa.
Like,
yeah, mind blown. The sequel wasn't bad. Not near as good as this one here, but if you're going to watch, they do have a sequel to this, a direct sequel. So that's definitely number 30 for me.
I haven't checked it out yet. I don't have an opinion, but we do enjoy a lot of Korean films, and especially if they're like action-packed, kind of horror, kind of suspenseful type movies. I'll check it out. I'm here. I am here.
I did buy it on Blu-ray.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
They had it. You have that region free. That's right. We have a region free.
Region free Blu-ray.
Multipass. I remember at first when you got it, it was like, you have to change the region by doing super secret code. And
well, now you just got to push the yellow, green, or blue button. That'll pretty much.
Oh, that was the old one. That's right, the old one.
The old one, you got to do all this. Like
and then you got
Jim Carrey and Cable Guy,
He's like, oh,
all right.
I love that movie. I was just talking about that with my cube mate today. We were talking about Cable Guy, and I was like, you have no idea how much I love that movie. And he's like, really?
Number 29. This will put a smile on Nicholas' face. Number 29, we have Hot Fuzz. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. Directed by Edgar Wright, who did Last Night in Soho, Baby Driver. He also directed this, as well as Shaun of the Dead. But this one is a lot of fun. Neko and I find ourselves quoting this shit all the time. All the time. Stars Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Martin Freeman, Bill Nye, Timothy Dalton, who's excellent in this film.
So good.
Former Bond guy.
Oh my God.
The plot is a skilled London police officer, after irritating superiors with his embarrassing effectiveness, is transferred to a village where the easygoing officer object to his fervor for regulations as a string of grisly murders strikes the town. So yeah, it sounds exactly how it sounds there. Peg's a cop who's too damn good in London. They basically either force his retirement or transfer out of there. He tries to go up the chain, and it's still like, see you later, bro. It's incredibly funny. Really, when it comes down to Simon Pegg's catalog of movies, Shaun of the Dead and this one are like his unicorns. Like they're really just so good. But I picked this one of the two just because I really enjoyed this film a lot.
I think I like this one more than Shaun of the Dead as well. I catch myself quoting this one more, remembering this one more, and watching it over and over again.
Well, it's unique in the sense that the stuff that happens in the village, like as it starts to unravel, you see different things like that.
The swans.
And then, of course, the cult.
His face when they were watching that production of Romeo and Juliet. At the end, he's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's so good. Damn funny.
I think you have it at a good place, too. Honestly, though, I would have put Napoleon Dynamite higher than this movie.
Really? Wow.
I think there's something endearing about Napoleon Dynamite. The other day, that song, The Promise, that they close on.
Yeah.
Everything that they picked in Napoleon Dynamite, like soundtrack wise, their clothing,
both movies have different vibes. So like, I just find myself, if I had to watch one more often, it's probably going to be this one.
And I think I'd be Napoleon, because there's some days where I'm just like, I need to watch Napoleon Dynamite, get his tots squashed in his pants.
All right, down to number 28.
Okay.
The first of a few martial arts films. This is The Night Comes For Us.
I haven't seen this one either.
It's on Netflix still, I think. Very good action martial arts film. Stars Iko Uwais, Joe Taslim, who we're very familiar with.
Joe.
The plot is Ito, a gangland enforcer, caught amidst a treacherous and violent insurrection within his triad crime family upon his return home from a stint abroad. So Taslim, is kind of like a bad guy here, but he kind of sees the error of his ways, and then he's having to fight.
He's trying to repent.
Yeah. And Iko, of course, is in here, and, these guys are starting to make a name for themselves beyond a lot of this. They're becoming some of the bigger martial arts stars that we see now. It's a fantastic story. It's dark. Great martial arts choreography, obviously. And it doesn't really end the way you might expect it to.
You love these twists.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, these guys are just nuts. Look how small Iko is. And then, of course, this scene was great too. This guy here on the right, he was a great badass in this. When they assaulted the apartment, they had a bunch of people. It was crazy stuff going on there. Again, gory, crazy, violent.
Crazy, violent. I like that.
Martial arts, the way it's supposed to be done. All right.
Next.
What did I have? What was that? Number 28?
Mm-hmm.
So we're at 27 now. And this is one of these ones where I talked about trilogies. We did that with Godzilla. But I picked a certain one of this trilogy to talk a little bit about. But I would include all three. And at number 27, it is Batman, The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan, obviously director, one of my favorite directors right now. Cast is Christian Bale,
your boyfriend,
Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Cillian Murphy, Heath Ledger, Aaron Eckhart, Morgan Freeman, and Eric Roberts. Just really, really great. This is probably my favorite Batman movie of all time. I know some people come out recently and say it's overrated, but I don't think so. I mean,
I like the movie a lot. I have no problem with you picking this as a top movie.
Look at that dude. Oh.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's your boyfriend.
But yeah, this dude here is the one that makes it. He really does. It's sad that he passed away, but God, he was so good in this. And
The thing that really is interesting is, Heath Ledger wasn't known to be this like amazing character actor. He was kind of like a heartthrob,
yeah,
and
a lot of his early movies were all just like
he put everything into this. He lived, breathed. He wanted to prove that he could be a character. He could be more than just like the hot, sexy guy, and he really did. It was amazing, and some of it is honestly just his subtle facial expressions when he's speaking about things that I find just I don't even know how to put it. Like, when he dresses up like the nurse,
yeah,
and he's just like hopping down the hallway, and then he goes like just little.
Well, I
things
liked when
like
he was
that.
sitting down. He's like, "Hi," he's like, because Two-Face is there, and the other thing I would say that I wish that would have been consistent with this film was, obviously the first one, Batman Begins, Kitty Holmes was playing the lead love interest. We had Maggie Gyllenhaal doing the second one with The Dark Knight. So
I'm just wondering if that was kind of around the time where Katie Holmes was dealing with
the science,
the Scientology and Tom Cruise and the divorce and everything. So I'm wondering if that was part of why she turned it down.
Maybe, or just didn't want to do another comic movie. Sometimes they don't want to get stigmatized with something.
I mean,
or maybe she knew she would die. The character would die. She didn't want to die.
I think they both did okay with the character, and we see this a lot, especially as time goes on with different characters. Obviously James Bond, but like, look at oh crap, what was that? The Tom Clancy novels. What's his name?
Harrison Ford?
Yeah, but who was he?
Oh,
so because what's his face is him now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And Krasinski is him now, but like in the past, there was other people too.
Well, Harrison did at least 2 or 3 movies under the same character, but The Hunt for Red October, there was a different guy, and it might have been a Baldwin or somebody. I can't remember who it was.
And then now it's John Krasinski.
Right.
So,
but like those had time, except for the early films.
But we see that too. Like clearly there are the times where it's appropriate to change actors. It happens, and shit happens.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean,
look at
Harry Potter had to like get a new Dumbledore because Richard Harris passed away.
Right. And look at just like stage plays that go on for years and years and years. You cannot have the same actor over and over and over again. They'll die. Like, it's so. I get it. I understand your one little frustration.
It's not big enough for me not like it. Obviously, it's in my list, but yeah, it was just one of those things that whatever. But the whole trilogy is great. I loved Batman Begins, and of course, The Dark Knight Rises, which was really good too. Maybe a little bit lengthy, but it was good.
We I feel like we have a special love for The Dark Knight Rises.
For certain reasons.
Where's the trigger?
Oh, we totally had sex.
Okay,
right.
let's get back on track. Sorry. I know I'm
sidetrack.
I derail us all the time. Sorry.
Here's number 26. This is On Bak.
Oh yeah.
Tony Jaa. And directed by Prachya Penku. And the plot is when the head of a statue sacred to a village is stolen, a young martial artist goes to the big city and finds herself taken on the underworld to retrieve it.
I think what I love about Ong Bak is it has that old school kung fu feel, but it's got the modern look.
Yeah, I think the one thing is like obviously it's the first introduction that I had to, Tony Jaa, who's just amazing martial artist. And again, he's another rising star. He's going to be in Expendables 4 along with Iko Uwais, and so you're going to start seeing a lot of these guys. But
I love the crossovers.
but the
I really
bar
do.
fighting, like the setup for the bar fighting, just kind of reminds me a little bit of Bloodsport. Like it was just like they would.
I love Bloodsport.
Yeah, so they would just keep trying to throw him in to fight all these guys, and he'd be whipping their ass. And the choreography's great. He has I forget what the name of his martial arts style is, but like using elbows to the head and stuff is just like brutal as hell.
Isn't he I don't know. We'll have to look it up. Look it up.
I mean, it's a
Get on
it's
Google.
a Thailand movie, so I don't know. Like
Maybe it's just Muay Thai.
it might be. I think it might be Muay Thai.
Muay Thai. God, that was my favorite thing about going to Thailand was literally seeing it in person, hearing like the sound of
Bones breaking.
it was crazy because they really celebrate it. It's a very, very honored tradition in Thailand, and they have like, they come in and they wear these like garlands around them, and they like bow, and they play this music constantly while they're doing the fights. But they had kids, little kids, and and then they had young ladies, maybe teenage girls, doing it. But when you got to the end fights and it's the adult men and you're seeing like fucking blood flying and you're hearing like the smack, and as you left the stadium, there's like a hospital, and they were like in a little, like they're stitching up their faces and stuff. It was fantastic. It is unbelievable to witness that kind of like athleticism, and amazing. You would have loved it. Like, I know I recorded it and you saw the videos of it, but it's so different. We've watched so many videos of fights. This is so I have no way to describe it because I think in Thailand people go to Thailand to study this. So with what's his name, Tony Jaa, he was studying in Thailand too. They have masters that, I'm talking everybody goes from America, from Europe, everywhere to study with these masters, and then they go to these stadiums. It was a whole like gamut of people, like all different ages, all different backgrounds, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Number 25.
Okay.
Tales from Halloween.
Oh, I love this movie. I would not have thought that you would have put this.
Well, the interesting thing is, in 2007, Doherty, who directed King of Monsters, directed Trick or Treat, which is another anthology, which is a really good one. This came out in 2015. I like Tales a lot more than Trick or Treat, just because I like the stories more.
Yeah, like these anthology type movies where
it has like 3 different directors that were a part of it. The cast is the legendary Adrian Barbeau's in there, Hunter Smith, and Cameron Easton. The plot is 10 stories are woven together by their shared theme of Halloween night in an American suburb, where ghouls, imps, aliens, and axe murderers appear for one night only to terrorize unsuspecting residents. Usually when people are talking about anthologies, obviously Trick or Treat comes up. This one, people tend to kind of frown upon it in some ways, or they don't really hate it per se, but I don't really see the love given to it like I do. I really, really love this movie. And the stories to me were really great, because some of my favorites are like The Night Billy Raised Hell, where the devil's like taking him out for a night to do pranks, and then of course by the end of it the cops are arresting this little kid because they think he's the one doing it. And then of course The Weak and the Wicked, which had the very cool Western vibe, which I really enjoyed as well. This was so cool. I like this. And that story was really cool. This means war with the neighbors. Remember the Halloween decorations?
That was kind of funny.
Yeah, and so it has a lot of humor, but everything gets kind of tied in. And then uh, Friday the 31st, which was like a Jason Voorhees type horror thing, but it also involved a little alien who was trying to get trick or treats from this killer, and then the killer like just and then like ends up stomping the alien, but the alien doesn't die, and ends up infecting one of his victims, female victims, and it's scaring the shit out of this alien, out of the Jason Voorhees guy. And then Bad Seed, of course, which closes out the film, has a pumpkin that goes on a rampage, eating people. But the cool thing about it was it's the company that they were investigating for it was called Clover Corp.
Which clever.
Halloween 3 reference there. I just really enjoyed all the stories in this one. It's not that Trick or Treat has any really bad stories. It just don't really hit me the way this film does. So yeah, I really enjoyed that film a lot, and that it made my list.
I'm glad it did. It's good to be a little different. You don't have to have all like what we were saying before. It doesn't all have to be like blockbusters.
It's all about personal
It's all
taste.
about taste.
Now, number 24 is gonna. I just gotta make sure I don't get hit with anything, because Nick is gonna be like, I don't understand what's going on. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? So number 24 is my all-time favorite comedy, no doubt about it, Grandma's Boy.
Number one.
Yeah, so some people would have it at number one.
Oh God.
Basically, directed by Nicholas Gustin, cast as Alan Covert, Linda Cardellini, Peter Dante, Doris Roberts, Jonah Hill, Nick Swardson, Joel David Moore, who plays the exceptional JP. Plot is a 35-year-old video game tester has to move in with his grandma and two other old lady roommates. I can personally identify with this film, and Neko knows this because I used to be a game tester at my age. So
he was 35 when he was a game tester.
Right, but like the reality is like at the time that I was game testing is when we discovered this movie, so it was kind of like crazy.
It was so funny. I mean, we were we just like on demand or something? This is before like all these streaming services. Like we had Netflix before a lot of people had Netflix, and we had Netflix streaming before we were like, I'm talking like 2002, 2003, we've been customers of Netflix. And so we always had Netflix, but I don't know if it was we saw it on Netflix or if we saw it just like audio stirred nuggets. I don't know if we saw it just like through on demand or if we saw it through Netflix, but we were just kind of like flipping and we saw the poster and we, how it gives a little description. It said a 35-year-old game tester. I was like, we're watching this. And
yeah, I don't know. We just, sometimes we just shoot from the hip and choose something, and then sometimes it turns out to be a gem, and
that's a winner.
Yeah,
every time. And I do place that above Napoleon Dynamite. I know Napoleon's like one of my favorite comedies, but that's above Napoleon Dynamite for me and for you too.
Yeah, it's just so great. So many great quotes in it. Sometimes you do forget that Jonah Hill's even in that, but he is.
Before Jonah Hill became Jonah Hill.
Yeah, I think it's like 2006 that came out.
It was before Superbad.
Yep, 2006 was the year that one came out.
It was before Jonah Hill did Superbad, and then he, started doing larger movies.
Yeah, now he's like a big star, serious star.
A serious star. I mean, we think it's hysterical.
Yeah, some people don't find the humor in it. I don't ever understand that because it's totally up our alley. But
it was one of our
Jason.
It was Jason, which surprises me because he loves the pot, so I thought it would be up his alley completely.
Yeah, you would think for the guy the kind of jokes and stuff that he likes, that kind of movie would be his thing. But he wasn't getting it.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, number 23, back to the martial arts films. This one, again, I'll talk about the first one because that's the best one. But the second film, there is 2 other sequels in it, but the first 2 are really, really good. But I'll talk about the first one at number 23. It's
Ip Man.
Ip Man. She knew it. Donnie Yen. And
Did you see that? The best kung fu movie in a generation.
Well, during the Japanese invasion of China, a wealthy martial artist is forced to leave his home when his city is occupied. With little means of providing for themselves, Ip Man and the remaining members of the city must find a way to survive. I'd probably seen Donnie Yen in films before, but not really known who he was because I go back and watch older martial arts films like, oh, it's Donnie. Yeah. And I probably didn't know it at the time. Really, I didn't really know who he was. Again, the fight choreography in this is like just freaking straight up amazing.
And this is based on a true story too, so it makes it even more interesting.
Yeah, because Ip Man, of course, is the teacher and master of Bruce Lee. Even at the end of the first one, I think there's like this little kid that walks in. They have portraying a young Bruce Lee, and he's kind of like saying, "Yeah, I'm here to learn." And I don't know, Ip Man at the time, he's like, "You're a bit young. Come back in a few more years."
So I told you when I was in Hong Kong, they have Ip Man's grave. Like you can go. It's not near the city at all, though. It's like, yeah, it takes a bit of a. And it was a little bit too far away for me to kind of. I don't, because when you're in the city, like most people just speak English and it's fine and all, but to go out to the countryside and get yourself there and back, I was just not, and I didn't have anybody who was interested in going. I really wanted to go though. I wanted to see Ip Man's grave, but it's like not a monument, but it's like if you look on them, they have like this map, and it's north of the city. But they have this other thing. It's like the Avenue of the Stars, and it's all these martial artists. They have a statue of Bruce Lee, and like it's kind of like in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But it's all, so you have like Jackie Chan, and everybody's name is. It was really interesting. I don't think I took enough pictures in Hong Kong. Like I think I took a picture like while we were eating dinner at the Hard Rock Cafe. And that's about it. Like, because we were mostly like, of course, enjoying ourselves because we were off the ship and drinking and stuff. But like, it was more like I was just walking around, and that's what I normally do. Like when I'm not like most of the time I'm taking pictures when I'm away. It's like because I'm on the ship and oh look, a sunset. It's not like when I'm in a different city. There's not a ton of pictures being taken of what I see, and that's probably not the best thing, but I took some pictures of Hong Kong, like as we were approaching, and you could see like the city and stuff, but I would kill to go back there. There's so much there that I did not do that I should have done.
Well, one of the things about this film that I love so much is it kind of brought back the fast-paced choreography fighting, like.
But not the ridiculous, like.
Well, I don't think it's not so much anything's ridiculous. It's just that.
But some of it's like more fantasy-driven. You know what I'm talking about, where they do like the flying and the.
Well, that plus sometimes it's slowed down when they're doing stuff. It's like whoa, it's like a slow motion type hit. Here it's like Yen's like and
it's very
that 10 man like
realistic
fight. Yeah, he's like breaking their knees and just really like going to town on him, and it's so fast. Like it's one thing that stands out so much in this film, and it's like wow, I can't believe it. And it's, I don't even think he's the thing about how these guys do these roles in these martial arts choreographies, like a lot of times they're not hitting each other really. Sometimes it may happen, but like when you
like
think when you're going that
they have that control that they're able to do it. So
right, like it's like
it's amazing.
right to your face, and it's like right here. But like, oh my god, like I don't know how they do it. It's like I'd actually be hitting people.
I'm sure it happens. I'm sure, especially like I think the I feel like the weapons would be harder than anything because like at least if it's your fist, you're like it's here, it's close, and you can be like, oh, punch, punch. But you know, you have a sword or a staff or something that's an extension of yourself. That's a little bit harder to control, I think. And I love the Ip Man series. I really, really, really loved it. I 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the second one's equally as good. The third and fourth is pretty good. I know he's doing a fifth one, but I think it was the third one that he had Tyson in it. And what I can appreciate about it, because I was kind of concerned going into it, I was like, man, you got Tyson in there. How's that going to work? But the way they did it was, you utilized Tyson's boxing, so it wasn't like Tyson was doing anything as crazy as Wing Chun or
Wing Chun.
Yeah, the fight style that Ip Man has, Wing Chun. But they utilized how Tyson
that was funny.
would box, so they were using kind of a martial arts style that worked with his boxing, which was really cool and unique. So it was believable and fun. So yeah, so the series itself is really good. Just the first two are like just exceptional on top level stuff. All right, we are at what are we at? 22. Actually, Neko saw this for the first time probably about a year or so ago. We did a review for it on the podcast at one point when we were still doing the movie reviews on there. So at number 22, we have Kiss of the Dragon.
Oh, I loved it.
Jet Li, Bridget Fonda, Chechi Caro, Cyril Raffaelli, who also appeared in Live Free and Die Hard. He was one of the twin fighters in that one. Plot is a betrayed intelligence officer enlists the aid of a prostitute to prove his innocence from a deadly conspiracy by returning a favor to her. Probably, without a doubt, my favorite Jet Li movie. I mean, I've liked a lot of his films over the years, obviously, but this one stands out to me for some reason. I've always liked it since I went to see it. It's also one of my favorite Bridget Fonda movies, and it's funny because there was like this gap for her in her acting career where she kind of like, cause she was a big thing in the late 80s and early 90s and stuff, and then she kind of went quiet on the film scene.
She was the fake ID woman.
Yeah, but she does a really good job in this film. Great emotion,
very believable.
Yeah, everything she does with the role is spot on. Caro, who is Inspector Richard, the villain, he's really good in this too. Like, I was like pretty impressed that he stands out as much as he does. Big asshole. Again, great choreography. Jet Li, the rest of the cast in this is great. I can't remember. He's fighting like one big black dude in that little chip shop that he's staying at, and I can't remember if that was like a rapper or not. I don't think it was, but that was an interesting fight. One thing I did really like about this film was the usage of the acupuncture needles that he would have. Like, that was a really cool plot device that they had in this with Jet Li's character, and that plays a big role towards the end of the film as well. So yeah, it's a really fun movie. It's really well done. It kind of goes by fast. It's not like it doesn't drag out. Your thoughts on that?
I agree. This is the one where he was in that hole, right? Was that the one where he's in the he gets stuck in the hole? They were trying to. I keep calling it a hole. It's not a hole. Never mind. Forget about it. I'm probably, convoluting two movies together. But yeah, I've only seen it once and I liked it very much.
I mean, he did do another film with Morgan Freeman called Unleashed, and he was more like a pet in that one. That was kind of wild, but the plot's a lot different than Kiss of the Dragon. All right, well, we're down to, let me give you a little stills here. Of course, here's Jet Li and Bridget there with that. And then one of the fighting scenes, that's the big black dude I was telling you about. That's a huge dude,
That is a
man.
big guy.
But very cool scenes in that. And now we're down to number 21. Then we'll just have 20 left. So this will be where
20, or are we gonna like just do 10?
no 10 and 10. We'll split it up. This will be where Neko leaves me because she just will.
What is it, Lord of the Rings?
21. It's actually the trilogy, Lord of the Rings. But I'll specifically talk about Return of the King, which is my favorite of the three. I'd actually add the Hobbit trilogy in with this as well, with no problem, because I really love those as well. Directed by Peter Jackson, cast is huge. Elijah Wood, Viggo Mortensen, Ian McKellen, Orlando Bloom, Sean Astin, Sean Bean, Kate Blanchett, John Rhys Davies, Andy Serkis, Carl Urban, Liv Tyler, Hugo Weaving, and Christopher Lee. Huge cast. And the plot of this one, of course, Gandalf and Aragorn lead the world of men against Sauron's army to draw his gaze from Frodo and Sam as they approach Mount Doom with the One Ring. Which, of course, whenever we speak about this, we speak about Clerks 2, which we haven't seen Clerks 3 yet.
Oh, is it on?
You probably have to rent it, but like people say it's so emotional and it's good. I haven't got a chance.
Well, we'll get into that. So, I don't know if you know this or not. I hate Lord of the Rings. If I want to take a nap, I watch Lord of the Rings, and then afterwards, I watch Harry Potter. These are like my least favorite movies, and I understand that they're beloved. Like, I can't, though. The only good thing about Lord of the Rings is Orlando Bloom. And he's wearing tights. So that's about it. And he wears tights in Pirates of the Caribbean, too. So that's fine. Viggo Mortensen's pretty awesome, too. But I prefer him in a lot of other movies. Like
Star Trek.
What's that one that I like? The Russian one? Where he does the naked roundhouse kick in the bathhouse.
Oh, you're talking about Viggo.
Vigo.
I thought you were talking about Carl Urban.
No, I'm talking about Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, the one that, The Departed was based off of. Something. How do you forget? You own the movie.
I know. I get this happens to me all the time. Everything's always on the tip of my tongue. No,
It's
The
like brain
Departed.
farts.
Huh?
Brain fart.
I know. The Departed was based off of Black Mass. Which
Oh.
was, yeah. So when it was based off of the guy that they were portraying in Black Mass, the one, and I was really upset when we finally saw Black Mass, and I'm like, this is not good. I'm just going to pretend it never happened, and I'm going to base The Departed off of that. But I said this was like the Russian Departed. Eastern Promises.
Yes.
Christ. How did that? So it's Eastern Promises is like the Russian Departed. It has like a lot of.
I really liked Hidalgo a lot too. The horse.
The horse one.
Yeah,
I
that was a
one
really good one.
too. So, Aragorn, I prefer you with the stars and doing the naked roundhouse kick in the bathhouse.
Seems so sexist.
Me? I wish I liked it. Same thing with Harry Potter.
You have to understand, whenever we talk about certain actors, the scenes that she brings up, like say like Roadhouse, it's always the one where Swayze's jumping in the pond at the end and he's
Or
dicks
he's
out.
sitting naked
Yeah.
and smoking on his. Or what about the fucking throat grab? Anyway,
She's trying to justify herself now. Yeah.
Patrick Swayze was.
Mm.
Anyway, I have always tried to like Lord of the Rings. He even forced me to watch all 3 movies one day. And I tried. I really, really tried.
I know I did. I think I actually sat and watched all 6, I think.
No, this is before the Hobbit trilogy came out, you and I, and you're like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's a long day.
we tried. I tried. I've tried to like Harry Potter. I don't know how many times I've fallen asleep watching these movies, even in the movie theater. They would not make my top 50 movies of the 21st century. None of them. 0. None.
Well, that's why I grouped them all together, so I don't have to take every space for each one.
0.
Shame.
I understand how important they are. I do. Because, like, we were in New Zealand a couple of years ago, and some of these guys were, like, renting motorcycles and going along the countryside, and they wanted to do the whole walk. What's it called? In Lord of the Rings, the walk. I don't know what. I don't know. I don't care. But a lot of the guys who were in that side of the world, they were like, we're gonna go do the whatever fucking walk it's called, the Lord of the Rings walk, and I'm like, have fun, nerds. Like,
The Walk of Shame.
I don't know. Please, somebody comment. It's called the something walk that the hobbits do. You should know this. You like Lord of the Rings?
I just know it is. We're going on an adventure.
That's what I say every day.
I'm going on an adventure. Yeah, so there we
Should
go.
we close out on this?
Yep, 30 to 21.
We limp out.
Oh, no, there's no limping. We're getting strong. Be strong.
You put this above Grandma's Boy.
It's an epic thing, man. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I know Poet would agree with me.
Did I fall asleep in the movie theater when we saw this too?
I don't think I ever saw him. Oh, yeah, we did. We
We
saw
saw Hobbit, definitely.
Well, yeah, we saw Dark Tower. I know that. I think we saw the first 2. I don't know if we saw Return. Maybe we did see Return of the King in the theater. I can't remember. But maybe we did, because I know I was pretty big on it when it all came out, because I enjoy it. The first one, it takes a little bit. Then you start getting into it. But Dark Tower, or the 2 Towers, and Return of the King are great. And then, of course, the Hobbit films were all great. I watched it. I don't think you saw all of them with me in the theater. I was like, I gotta go.
I think I did. And I'm like, they took one movie and really stretched it out into 3 movies, and it all could have been done in one movie. Like,
No.
I know I saw the second one in the movie theater with you with the
Schmog.
dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did. And you said that was Benjamin Cumberbatch, who
Benjamin? You mean Benedict?
Benedict, Jesus Christ.
We're having a bad night.
We're having a bad night.
Bad night.
Benedict Cumberbatch was the voice.
Cumberbatch.
Benjamin.
Benjamin Cumberbatch. I'm a bitch.
He sounds more like a private eye. Benjamin Cumberbatch. But I don't know. Black Arrow. There was some kind of black arrow that he had to shoot at the dragon.
Well, that was Luke Evans, that character,
Okay.
to kill Schmog.
Mm-hmm. And he missed.
Well, no, he got him in the end. Of course, that was the beginning of the 3rd one, when they killed Schmog. Or was it? Yeah. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, please. We could really appreciate the love.
Maybe I should do my top 50 movies of the 21st century.
Well, we'll cross that road when we get there. Tomorrow, we are doing another Classic Reflections, and we will be doing Typo Negative's October Rust. So be looking for that. We'll have it both on the podcast, which is the main source of that, and then I'll upload the
Podbean.
audio. Yeah.
Or you can always find us on metaltavernradio.com.
Yeah, and I'll upload the audio to YouTube. So if you want to listen to it on that, it'll be there as well. So thank you all for checking this out. And when we get to the next episode of this, we'll let you know. I'm not sure when it will happen yet. We got some more interviews coming up, and then we're going to be going to G-Fest in July.
I think we should collect some recordings and of our friends, like at G-Fest.
Well, we're going to be doing a lot of filming and stuff. So.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for checking this out. Have a good night. We'll see you later. Behave yourselves. Peace.
Just